Tonight I would like to capture a deep scale object with this telescope. Finally, the conditions are better for astrophotography, so tonight there will be no clouds for a few hours, which means I can do a bit of deep scale astrophotography. Unfortunately, there will be a moon tonight, so the moon will be visible tonight, but I really hope that I can do a bit of deep scale astrophotography. So tonight I'm planning to use this astrophotography setup. For those of you who have been watching my channel over the last few months, you probably noticed that I'm usually not using this telescope for astrophotography. So over the last few months I've always used the Ascar SQA55 telescope for astrophotography, and in that time I've changed the camera, different components, but finally tonight it's time to use this telescope again. So I haven't used this telescope for, I guess, 6 months, something in that range, so it has been a long time. But I'm really excited about using this telescope tonight in combination with my new camera, so I'm really excited for the object that I will capture tonight. So tonight I'm planning to go for a rather smaller object, because in this case I'm using a relatively big telescope in combination with a relatively small sensor, so this is the setup that I'm planning to use for tonight. Before introducing the entire equipment to you, I would like to mention that this video is not sponsored and I'm not being paid for it, and all products shown in this video were purchased by myself. But now, let's get started. So tonight I will get 1 to 2 hours of total clear skies, so I really hope that I can collect a lot of exposure time. So now let's talk about the equipment. So the mount is the same, so it's the Skywatcher HEQ5 Pro go-to mount. On the top I've mounted the Skywatcher 150 PDS Newtonian telescope, so it has a focal length of almost 800 millimeters, which is great for tonight's object. At the front I've attached a chroma corrector, so I've attached the chroma corrector right here, so it's the max field chroma corrector. At the front I've attached the camera that I'm planning to use for tonight, which is the CWO ASI 533 MC Pro. Since we'll get a very small field of view later on, it's very important for me to use an auto-guiding system, because otherwise I'm not able to collect a longer exposure time. Therefore I've attached a 60mm guide scope at the back of this telescope, and at the back I've attached my guiding camera, which will be the CWO ASI 120mm mini mono guiding camera. For controlling the entire setup, I'm planning to use the CWO ASI Air Pro, so this Astro computer. Later on I'll have to align the mirrors of this telescope, so I haven't used this telescope for a long time, so this will be very important later on. Furthermore, I've attached the guiding system to this setup, and therefore I have to align the guide scope with the main telescope later on, because over the last few weeks and months this guiding system was attached to the Ascar SQA55 telescope. And I even have to balance the entire setup right now, so this is the setup that we'll be using for tonight. So now I'm planning to balance the entire astrophotography setup, and then I'm planning to do the polar alignment process later on when it's dark enough, and then I'm planning to focus on a bright star, and then we can directly move the telescope to the object that I'm planning to capture later on. So later on I'm planning to share the images I've captured, so see you later. Hello everyone and welcome back. As you can see, I was able to capture images of the Triangulum galaxy last night. So right at the back you can already see a single image I've captured. So now I'm just planning to talk a bit about this image, about the camera settings I've used, and I'm planning to just take a closer look at the images, about the stars, about the overall image quality, star sharpness, all of that stuff that is important to take a closer look at when taking a look at these images. So as you can see, I was able to capture some images. First of all, let me talk about the camera settings I've used for this image. So this is a single light frame I've captured, which has a total exposure time of around 3 minutes. So when zooming in, you can already see that some details are already visible in this image. So I was definitely pretty surprised by how many structures are actually visible in just a single light frame. So I was definitely surprised by that. When taking a close look at the galaxy, we can see some great structures, especially in the center of this galaxy. Furthermore, you can see that the stars do look very good. They are very sharp, and they are definitely in focus, and even the chroma corrector did a great job in this case. So as you can see, these stars are perfectly round, even in the outmost regions of this image. So in this case, I've used a very small sensor, which is the CWO ASI 533 MC Pro, and in this case usually you do not have problems with chroma when using these Newtonian telescopes. Usually when using bigger sensors like a full frame sensor, for example, or an APC sensor, sometimes you will have problems quite a lot when not using a comma corrector. In this case, I've still used a comma corrector because I wanted to really achieve the best possible results with this setup in the end. So in this night, I was able to capture multiple of these light frames, and in the end I've stacked them together. So in the end of this video you can see the final stacked image of this galaxy. So far I'm very happy with this image. I've captured this object I guess 2 years ago, so quite a long time ago, and back then I've used the same telescope but a DSLR camera. I guess it was the Canon EOS 2000D. So in this case there's definitely a big improvement when it comes to the images, or the image in the end. So generally speaking, I'm very happy with this camera and especially with this telescope. So that night it was definitely quite cold, and therefore I had to adjust the focus multiple times. So I guess I had to focus the telescope 1 hour after 1 hour once again because the stars were no longer in focus. Therefore I adjusted the focus once again, and then everything worked quite according to plan, and generally speaking I'm very happy with the results, or with the result in the end. So much said about this image. I'm very happy with this image, even the conditions were not that good. So the moon was visible that night, and so there was actually a full moon that night, and I've not used any filters. Therefore I guess the result is definitely quite amazing. So this is actually everything I've planned to mention so far about this image. Later on I'll like to show you the final stacked image. I'm very happy with this image, so that's everything I've planned to mention so far. So now you will see the final stacked image I've captured of the Triangulum galaxy that night. That night I was able to capture the Triangulum galaxy with my telescope. So in the background you can see the image I've captured of this galaxy. Unfortunately the conditions were not perfect, but I'm generally speaking quite happy with this image. So this image has an exposure time of less than 2 hours, which is for sure not a lot, but still you can see a few structures in this galaxy. So when collecting a long exposure time, you can definitely reveal even more details, so that's definitely something I'm planning to do in the upcoming weeks and months. So each single image has a total exposure time of 3 minutes, and then I've stacked and combined multiple images in order to reach an exposure time of more than 1 hour. By stacking and combining all of these images, I was able to create this image of this galaxy. So if you have any further questions about this image or about the equipment I've used, definitely feel free to ask me down below in the comments, and I will definitely help you. If you would like to further support me, you can now become a member of my channel. Becoming a member of my channel would really support me, and your support really means a lot to me. If this video was interesting and helpful to you, I would really appreciate a like and a subscription. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, clear skies, Felix.